Hello, my friends. Welcome back. We are on our third installment of resume development. This time, we are going to discuss those additional sections that kind of round out your resume. We have education, your experience, and then there's like the other category. So we're going to talk through some of those options for the additional sections. Again, resume is a marketing document. For many folks, a one-page resume, they're going to fill that with education and professional experience, no problem. However, if you have some space or you are looking to market yourself and highlight some skills kind of outside of that professional experience, we can always add in an additional section. We have a lot of different things you can use for that additional section. So our candidates, especially those who are looking to advance their careers in a new direction, they are career changers. They might put in analytics projects. You could put in community involvement to show things that are important to you and ways you've contributed. You also see graduate students will take on leadership roles in community organizations as a way to kind of flex and demonstrate their skills. Certifications, technical skills, Carlson projects, study abroad, learning abroad. So these are things you can always add to that third section, kind of that rounds things out. We're going to keep the format fairly similar of having, as we have the other sections, all capital letters bolded, but you can also combine names. So if you're going to have certifications in languages or Carlson projects and certifications, go ahead. But we just want to have that consistency so that those three sections, of your resume look the same. Common piece that folks put on is the Carlson projects. We have such wonderful experiential learning opportunities here at Carlson. Encourage you to highlight those on your resume. We do provide a sample document as part of Greenlight, which shows different ways that you can list this information. But again, we're identifying kind of the name of the organization, the Carlson School Practicum, or it could be the name of the class. We just want you to be consistent with how you're listing them. And you can list, the name of the class, who was the client, if you're allowed to say that, or your main stakeholders, and then the dates of the experience. And you can put a couple of bullet points. This is a wonderful option to use, again, if you're looking to position yourself into a new space. So if we have folks that are coming in, like a candidate who may have this content is someone who is looking to pivot into medical technology, or looking to do something in innovation, then we want to add this to your resume because it's that marketing document. And it's one more way you can help the reviewer see that you are the right candidate for them. Analytics work with wonderful analytics programs, a lot of students interested in doing analytics more and more. We know that our candidates need to be analytics savvy in that workspace. And so you can also see how we have some of our candidates will list, instead of listing like their analytics lab experience or an enterprise experience as a separate section, they will list it under their professional experience. For this case, we absolutely support that because these are very large projects that they're working on over the course of many weeks on large teams. And you can see for like analytics, a way you can highlight your work is not only list your title, but also the tools that have been used. And you can see like the client name on this one. So again, these are for experiences that are like pretty big experiential learning, like semester long projects. And so you can see this candidate listed under experience. You could also, instead of it being under experience, it could be called data science projects or analytics projects as well. Technical skills, also very common for our folks heading into the analytics space. They can be listed under the education section, which was a cool thing this candidate did. They had education at the top, and then they put that technical skills section right underneath. Part of that is because when someone's looking at their resume, they really wanted this information up on the top third. Support that, absolutely support that. But you could also put it at the bottom of the page. It could be tools and skills, techniques and skills. Again, just having consistent headers that are full, all capitals, bolded, and then listing the information in a way that's going to make sense to your reader. Also, if you are going to be highlighting technical skills that you have or experience with software programs, etc., it's one thing to list them on the resume, but it's a whole other level, a really good level, if you're also able to then have a bullet point somewhere in your resume that also shows how you used that. So if we see, looking at this candidate under their techniques, they have A/B testing. If they can have a bullet point that talks about how they leveraged A/B testing to help a client understand, et cetera, that's going to really drive home that not only do they say they know how to use it, but they've actually demonstrated that tool as well. And so very helpful if you can actually put the tool to use in a bullet point. So again, more examples of how you can list data science projects. For this, while it says data science projects, this could also be MBA class projects as well. And you can use the similar format where you have like a bold, all caps headline, header, and then you have a bolded kind of title of what the work was. As long as there's consistency throughout the document and you're telling a story that's interesting, what did you do? How did you do it really well? And what was that impact? We're going to go with you on that. Then community involvement and leadership. A lot of our candidates come in having done some volunteer work, board work. Great. We're comfortable, encourage you to add that to your resume. Things that we also want you to be mindful of. If you are doing volunteering, we look for it to be recent, as in the last 5 years or so, and that it's been consistent. A splash and dash volunteer engagement, like one day of volunteering at something, isn't quite the same as having a consistent, many months involvement, leadership commitment, community involvement, volunteering, something. So that shows consistency. So if you're a board member, you're a volunteer with an organization and can speak to, yes, here's the hours I've invested in that organization. Awesome. We want to list enough information under that section so that the reader gets a sense of what you did. But for community involvement and leadership, we're not necessarily putting all these sub bullet points about like all the things you did. It's more about the organization, what your role was, and like when it happened. And these are going to be used as a way to differentiate you as a candidate, and they can also be talking points as part of an interview or a screening. And the pro tip we offer, and this is not just us, most schools will say this as well, we tend to exclude information, encourage candidates to exclude information related to political or religious affiliations, because that can be, you don't always know who your audience is in an organization. And so there can be negative perceptions or bias that comes as a part of that. And we want you to bring your whole self to the organization as well. So there's that balance between really presenting yourself as who you are and also knowing that folks don't always align to the same belief systems. And so want to be thoughtful of how you're marketing yourself as well. Connect with a coach. We're happy to help. A couple last quick FAQs. We have some real smarty pants here at Carlson. So patents, publications, extra degrees, certifications, should you be listing those? Totally. If they are relevant to the role you're applying to, you can add that as a third section if you'd like. A personal interest section, one of our most common questions, can I list my hobbies and interests? On the Carlson formatted resume that we ask all of our Greenlight candidates to complete, we don't encourage a personal interest section. The amount of real estate you have on that one-page resume is limited. And my preference is that you are going to use all of those lines to show your skills and your strengths and your differentiators. The personal interest section maybe is something that we're highlighting in a networking conversation instead. Honors and recognitions. I love when I hear about candidates that have earned recognition, an award, a personal award, a team excellence award. You have two options. You can list it under a separate section as like recognition and awards. Or if, let's say, you earned an award as part of your work in the organization, you can add a bullet point that says recognized by leadership, recognized by organization with the Gold Standard Award for work on XYZ project. Kind of nice to like embed the recognition within the organization so that the reader has some context of why you earned that award. And then undergraduate internships. Depending on where you are in your career, if you're an early career professional, absolutely feel free to add those undergraduate internships. The further along you go in your career, the more likely those are to kind of roll off and not be on your resume anymore. But you can always keep those on your LinkedIn profile as well. So hopefully that helps answer a few of those FAQs. Action steps. Upload that resume into VMOC. That's our virtual resume review tool. Aim for a score 75 to 85. Incorporate any of that feedback, upload it again. You get 10 uploads a year. So use the tool. Set up that appointment to connect with a coach for after you have your VMOC review. And usually we want you to see you around the middle of the summer. And then after you connect with your coach, you're going to put that finished resume into into Handshake, and then you might use some of that content to update your LinkedIn as well. Sorry for the words slurring a little bit there. Thank you for hanging with me on this resume video. Take care.